I should have been recording. I mean, listen, I fuck up all the time. So just saying that probably got demonetized. So, all right, let's see. Recording. Okay, let me do this real quick. Well, yeah, I don't even need to do this. I'm just going to say, hey, this is Matt Cox, and I am here with Brett Johnson. I'm here with Wade Williams. Wade is the Wade runs a YouTube channel. I was going to say the host, but hosts and runs the YouTube channel, Crime and Entertainment, which I always think of as someone who focuses on mob-related crime stories. Unfortunately, my wife she thinks of Wade as the guy that interviews porn stars, which is funny because I always say every time I turn it on, it's always like it's always mob guys. Anyway, and
that's crime and entertainment.
I need to subscribe.
And Brett Johnson is, what is Bozak always called? What do they call it? The Godfather of cybercrime?
That's what they say.
Okay. The Godfather of cybercrime. He was #1 on the Secret Service's most wanted list. He was on the run multiple times. You escaped what? One time? Once?
I escaped from prison. Yeah.
Okay.
I got that on the record too.
And yeah, currently he runs the YouTube channel. Brett, is it just Brett Johnson? No,
the Brett Johnson Show.
Brett Johnson Show.
And the reason you don't know it is because no one watches it.
Well, we're working on that. We're working on that. Well, you also got it taken down.
I did.
You know,
shouldn't be talking about prostitutes. I should be interviewing porn stars, evidently.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a big difference there. They get upset when you confuse the two.
I knew when your channel was taken down, because all of a sudden I started getting these comments in the comment section. Bro, what's going on with Brett Johnson? I was like, I don't know.
Did he get arrested again?
Yeah, what happened? And then, like, after a week, I finally checked. I was like, why does everybody keep saying that? So I checked, and your channel was just gone.
Yep. Yeah, they do that.
I feel at a disadvantage. You guys are both on the America's Most Wanted list, and I never. Thank goodness, I never made it.
Not too late.
No, the day is not over yet. Exactly.
It is Monday too, by the way.
Let's see.
So here's what I was thinking. Here's what I'm proposing is that, maybe once a month we get together and kind of say, like, how our channels are doing, how, they're growing, what's working, what's not working. Like just that sort of thing, just in general.
Right.
I think I would like to do that. I had actually anticipated doing that, or wanted to do that when I rented this house. I was planning on doing kind of like an incubator thing, and that didn't work out. But I think that this would be good, because I think we all have growing channels, and listen, and all of us have had, issues. I mean, Brett got his channel, taken down. Like, I mean, it was starting to, it was starting to get going, and he had started it, and he had a whole plan, and then suddenly bam. And then like YouTube just doesn't even tell you why.
Yeah.
They'll demonetize my stuff, or do limited monetization, which might as well be
right.
It's not monetized,
Yeah.
Right.
I've got a ton of those.
Right. And then you request a review, they review it, and they come back and they say, yep, it needs to be it needs to be limited monetization, but they don't tell you why. They're like, oh, look at your agreement. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense, because if it's one little piece, like, I have no problem going and cutting it out. Just tell me where it is. You don't even tell me exactly. Just tell me give me a range. It's around 1 hour and 12 minutes. I'm ready to cut that fucker out. Like, I'll track it down. Just help me. That always bothers me.
And I had a video one time. I interviewed a guy named Jay Dobbins, who was an ATF agent that went undercover in the Hells Angels. And at the time, it was my longest video that I had ever done, which was around like 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, cut it into 2 parts and, release it that way. Well, I cut it into 2 parts. And then I also wound up releasing the full version. So they let the first part monetize, demonetize the second part, and then let the full one also get monetized. So I'm like, it's the same fucking video. I don't understand it. Like, the same exact video, but you demonetize the second thing. And then sometimes the shorts will do the same thing.
Same thing.
It'll be a short from a video that's good, but they won't let the short go through.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a quagmire. So I was gonna say right now, I just interviewed a guy who he came here. We talked about aliens.
Okay.
Bro, aliens. That's all we talked about. We didn't talk about politics. We didn't. There was. I don't think we even cussed. I mean, it's hard to cuss when you're talking about aliens, but I don't think there was cursing. We certainly didn't talk about anything drug related. It was just about aliens. It right now limited monetization. Now we haven't, like, Colby hasn't gone through and tried to figure out what's the problem is, but it makes no sense at all. So
anyway, no idea at all why they're doing that.
No. And I have other ones where, I mean, literally during the interview, I'm like, this is never going to get monetized. I mean, the guy is that just out there saying crazy shit, cussing. I mean, he's talking about, blatantly speaking about drug transactions. And every time some guy starts talking about meth and, heroin, I'm thinking, oh God, bro, you're getting way too descriptive.
Right.
And then the video comes out, and I'm like, and boom, no problem, comes out, gets 20,000 views over the next, month. It's 2 hours long, never have a problem.
So do you tell your guests sometimes, like, to try not to get too descriptive when it comes to like drugs or certain things? Because I've never done that.
I haven't, but I'm going to start.
And see, I just started with guests, and I had a guy last week that was a tattoo guy, served served state time. So he starts the show. He was like, hey, do you mind if I smoke? And I'm like, no, dude, light it up. Then I paused and I was like, what are you smoking?
Right.
He was like, well, man, I stopped smoking cigarettes 20 some years ago. And I'm like, fuck it, do it anyway. And I mean, he lit up, he did that. And I assume that is going to get me in trouble at some point.
I was just thinking, why not? I just started this channel.
Exactly.
It's not like if it had 50,000 subscribers, sure, but I could start another one.
Well, and obviously we're not Joe Rogan, but I mean, Rogan used to get high all the time when he was doing his stuff on YouTube.
He got high all the time.
Yeah,
and Spotify doesn't seem to care what you do on there, but YouTube absolutely does.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans or familiar with the wrestling, but there was a wrestler called The Godfather back in like the Attitude Era, early 90s, mid 90s. And his gimmick was he was like a pimp. He would come out with the girls and all that. And like his little taglines would be like roll a fatty for this pimp daddy and all that. Well, he's since retired, but he's a very cool guy. And I had him on the show, and he's a huge advocate for, weed, CBD, everything. And all through like the episode, he would just, light up and take a puff. But that's what he does on his Instagram account and all the time. And they let that go. So
okay.
I've never told anybody not to get too descriptive on that, but kind of like what Matt was talking about. I had an episode with Ignacio Esteban, and we started doing serial killers. We were going to do like one a month and just highlight a serial killer. And we done a guy named Albert Fish. And some of the things, like, I don't even want to even
Dead
get
Skin
close
Mask
to
guy. Is that Albert Fish?
No, he was like an older guy. He done unspeakable things to people.
Not like those other serial killers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is
not your
worse.
friendly neighborhood serial killer.
Okay, he was Dahmer but worse, if that makes sense.
All right.
Okay.
He was Dahmer but worse. And I was just like, this was probably not gonna go. And it went through. I was totally shocked. They even let the short go through, which was very descriptive. I figured that was get reported if anything else. But
right.
Yeah, they let it go through. So I don't understand the algorithm, man. I really don't.
Yeah, well,
I don't even try to. I mean, and that's probably why I don't have a shitload of followers like YouTube.
Well, I'm going to, from now on, I'm going to actually talk to these guys. I'm going to say, listen, like, if you're talking about, whatever the drug is, like, mention the drug the first time, and then let's call it like the product.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick with product after that. Just because if you're continually saying, like, they'll let you get away with it a few times. But you're just saying it. And some of these guys, it's like, oh my God, like, I can't believe how many, this guy won't stop. And I don't want to be rude in the middle of it and say, hey man, can you honestly, bro, you're getting insane here. Like, I mean, I've never heard anybody, like, you can't seem to say a sentence without mentioning you can't just say the stuff or the something. But yeah.
So one of the shows I was planning on doing, and I just started that tonight, as a matter of fact, of doing a tour of some of these criminal goods and services that's on sale on Telegram, dark web, marketplaces, things like that. So tonight was stolen cars and skimmers. So are you saying that I should not show things that, drugs that begin with an F or what have you?
I mean, I would probably say it once and then try and just stick with like the product and
so don't show screenshots or take a live tour.
I wouldn't show screenshots. Like I literally, so I had a guy that had like a grow house, and the intro, we did like a really good intro, right? Like a little 1 minute intro for him. And I had to upload it 3 or 4 different times. And the last thing I took out to get it monetized was actually some B-roll of a grow house. So it actually had a problem with the grow. Like it got rid of this. That's okay. This is okay. And then slowly got to a point, was like, still something's off. And then I removed that. Boom. It was fine.
Okay.
And it was probably because it was within the first 3 minutes. It was an intro.
Right.
Do you guys have video on Spotify?
I do.
You do?
Okay. Video on Spotify?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just found out that was even a thing.
Yeah, like Rogan's now, his videos on, like if you go to Spotify and play his podcast, a video will actually play, just like YouTube.
Yeah, it's extremely easy to set up. You can't do, with YouTube, you do the SEO keywords, and you can't do that. You just write whatever the show description is. You can put the keywords in there. But it's easy to do, and most of my engagement comes from Spotify. Absolutely.
Now, did you do that on your own? I have Buzzsprout. That's who distributes all of my audio, but they don't have the capability of doing the video there. They only do audio. So
I go through it is Spotify for podcast, Anchor.
Okay.
That's who we go through.
Yeah. All right. See, I might need to look into switching. I go through.
It's pretty easy, man.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I wasn't even thinking I was going to do video, so I just went to straight Buzzsprout for all audio, and then the video kind of came about. And now just late in the game, I don't know all the details as far as switching hosts. Do I keep everything? I don't understand what that would do.
Well, man, why are you not doing video and you're interviewing porn stars?
No, he's doing video.
Yo, I'm doing video now.
He has
I
video
didn't start
on.
out, by the way.
All right.
Right. He has video on his YouTube. Yeah, just pull the audio and stick it on spot. Oh, well, or I guess if you could put the video on too. I need to talk to Colby about doing the video.
Yeah, because that recently became a thing, I guess, not too long ago. Maybe when Rogan switched over, somewhere around those lines. And I contacted Buzzsprout and asked them, could I do that? And they said, unfortunately, with their capabilities, they couldn't. It was just audio. So I have all the video. It would be easy to do.
Right.
I just don't know, being that, like, if I pulled my account from Buzzsprout and moved everything to Anchor, like, what would happen? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know that.
So
I'll have to find out.
On a separate topic, Wade and I went to CrimeCon. Have you ever been there?
I have not, because they're not willing to pay my speaking fee.
So, well,
I don't do this shit for free.
Well, we didn't speak. I didn't speak. We just went.
Yeah, you were a journalist.
I'm a journalist.
Yeah, these guys got media passes, and I'm up here paying full price like a peasant. For Christ's sake.
Explain to me CrimeCon. Is it all law enforcement? Is it all fans?
It's not what you think.
Okay.
It's really, you know what I thought it was? I figured I'm going to go there and they're going to have like criminals. They're going to have a bunch of mob guys. They're going to have a bunch of guys that maybe committed a murder or dirty police officers that went in, got out. They're all selling books. It's not what it is at all. It's literally all podcasters. It's all podcasters that have probably at least 100. You think 100 or more?
It was probably 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
100 podcasters with booths. And they're like, podcasts that are focusing on serial killers, mystery murders, just sensational murders, victims, voices for the victims, voices for the voiceless, or
I like the way you do Voices for the victims. Voices.
Well,
for
I
the
just
victims.
I was talking to this one woman who was who did something like, voices for the victims or something, and she's telling me like we go into a deep dive of who the victim was, and she was going on and on and on. And Tyler is my booking agent, and he's like he's trying, you know how Tyler is. He's like, yeah, we've got she would be a great guest, and I'm going, no.
And
Tyler,
you don't want to talk to her about that shit.
Yeah, Tyler's actually sitting there, and I'm telling, I've had this conversation with Tyler over and over again. Fun crimes. Think fun crimes. And then she's going on, and you could hear it in her. She's deeply, deeply entrenched in bringing light to the victims. And I'm thinking, all I can think of is I'm going to get 1,200 views. These people are going to turn off the fucking thing as quick as possible. My guys, they don't even want to hear someone say they're sorry about the crime. Like,
right.
they
that's what I'm doing on my show.
Right. What? Saying you're sorry about the
crime? I've got guys on. If they don't accept responsibility, I'm not talking to you.
Oh
I don't want to hear you brag about your crime.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'm not trying to get viewership, as you can tell.
I do have one or two guys that will say, they'll say something towards the end, but I always tell them like, look, bro, just please don't apologize the whole time. Okay. Tell me the story. Nobody wants to hear you apologize the whole time. Toward the end, you can talk about how it ruined your life and how you feel bad and what you're doing now. But give me at least an hour of your story without apologizing.
Well, see, you get that woman on there. She's going to look up every single victim that you've had, and she's going to parade them in front of you.
I'll be all right.
and you're going to have 1,200 viewers.
It was cool for me just because when I first started, I didn't really even start listening to podcasts till about 2.5 years ago, right before I decided to start my own. So a few of the guys, like, it was cool putting faces to the names, but kind of like what Matt said, it's all strictly true crime. So like cold cases, individual cases. Some of them would highlight missing persons. Some of them would do deep dives into one specific thing and all that, but that's what it was. Now they did have some different speakers. Like I think they had the defense attorney that was going up against Alex Murdaugh. He was speaking in a room. So they had schedules set up on top of what they call Podcast Row to where people would rotate in and out speaking. So Nancy Grace was there. She spoke with a few other people.
I won't give my opinion on her.
Oh my God. Right. I just
hope that she could no longer, breed.
Well,
I'm pretty sure those days are gone.
What? I'm not sure she had a lot of offers. So what was his name? The guy we interviewed?
Jeffrey Deskovic. He done 16 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, and then he got out. There was a short documentary made that won some awards, and then he eventually went back to law school, became a lawyer, and helped get another guy free who showed up that Saturday. I've had him on the channel as well. He was in jail for 23 years for a murder he didn't commit, or 2 murders actually.
Man.
Yeah.
And last December was like his first December out. So he was there, and I got to meet both. I'd had them both on. I think Matt had Jeffrey on, but that was kind of cool to meet them. So they spoke, for an hour, and it just kind of rotated different people. I want to say they had somebody tied into like the BTK killings. So it could be a cop that investigated it, or a lawyer that pushed for it, or something like that. They had a bunch of different stuff you could do.
So is it basically just kumbaya for podcasters?
Yes.
Okay. What are they trying to sell? Anything?
I think they're making their money off of booths.
Yeah.
And people are paying $350 just to show up. I mean, unless you're media.
Yeah.
And
unless you're the journalist.
And
I did get a coupon code.
Well, everyone loves a coupon.
Yeah. So we're thinking next year I'm going to try and become a speaker for free. I want to try and get I'm going to try and get a booth for free.
I figure give you a booth for free.
Yeah, give me a booth for free. Like, give me some coupons and whatever, and let me get in for free. Let me get a booth for free, and I'll talk for free. And then I think we need to get some criminals in there. I mean, these people. Listen. It's like 90% women. Yeah.
But if all 90% are like Nancy Grace,
they're probably angry. I don't know. I didn't talk to too many. I mean, I
most men that were there looked like There was a few that was there because they were into it, but most of them, they were drugged there with their wives.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
No, I'm telling you, maybe 10 or 15%.
Well, look,
male.
you know,
Am I wrong?
you're talking about a booth. I can tell you in no uncertain terms, if you agree to speak free, especially with your background and things like that, both of you, if you agree to speak free at any event, just to give you a booth, they're going to sign you on. You can bet on that.
Well, I've already submitted to speak for the next year. I submitted for this one, but I think they already had everybody booked up, and I didn't really know about it till about 2 or 3 months ago.
Right.
So it was kind of late in the game. So the contact that I had, I've already submitted to speak for next year. And even if I don't get picked up as a speaker, I at least did want a booth in podcast show. Plus, it's in Nashville, and Nashville's a pretty cool place.
It's a good town.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I know. I stole 3.5 million there.
Well, it's a very good town for you.
They're very trusting.
But even in that event, like they had something that was solely for like the podcasters at kind of like in the later hours of the day, like from 7 to 9 or something like that. And I went up there and we had some friends of ours that was there, and they was like, just come up. And I was like, I think you have to be a podcaster to get up here. And he's like, well, just come with us. So I went up and kind of walked in between them and walked straight on in. And this thing was like free food, free drinks, alcohol, whatever you wanted, you know. And I text Matt, I'm like, hey, you might want to come on up here, you know. It's everything's just giving everything away up here.
What's going on?
And the women got prettier as the night went on.
Well, my wife wants to know something, Wade.
Yes.
What's going on? Does Jess have a Ronda Ross? What is it? Rousey thing going on?
What, with her or a look?
The look. No, he's struggling. It's a no. No,
I mean they're different hair colors and stuff like that, but the attitude, yes, if that's what she's referring to.
Okay, good to know. All right, we're good. That's what she's going for. She's decided she's going to get a Ronda Rousey body within the next few months.
And then she's going to kick your ass.
Oh, so you're asking about body. I didn't know whether you meant look, hair color, presence, stage presence. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Of course, the alarm went off at 4:00 this morning, and she just rolled over and went back to bed. We didn't go to the gym. Like I was like, I don't know. Like for day one of training, shot to shit.
See, I knew it because y'all order salads when we went out to eat, and I was like, "Give me the most unhealthiest thing you got on the menu there, wherever that place was."
Well, baby steps.
Take the salad and feed to whatever you're going to bring to the table that I'm going to eat.
The protein drinks, they don't taste that bad if you put a couple of scoops of ice cream in them,
or a little vodka.
There you go.
Okay, so what was I going to say? So Wade, Wade, when did you start your channel?
I started it roughly 2 years ago around July. So my 2-year anniversary just passed. So when was that? That's 2020, I guess, 2021. I don't know. I'm horrible at math. Roughly a little over 2 years. And when I was talking earlier, I was only planning on doing audio. Like doing video and actually interviews never really entered my mind. And I thought about doing a true crime channel, strict, like focusing on cases, kind of like what we talked about earlier. But I knew I didn't have the capability to do a good one. Like to do good ones, like some of those people that were there. I mean, like they get Freedom of Information Acts, like they get, they go deep. And I knew I didn't have the time nor the know-how to do that. So I was trying to figure out how to kind of brand it to where I could talk about stuff that I knew. And the guy was like, so you want to do true crime? And I'm like, yeah, but I also want to do, entertainment stuff like movies and stuff like that. And he's like, so you want to do crime and entertainment? I'm like,
that's not a bad name.
That's pretty good. That's kind of what it is. So the first like 5 or 6 episodes that we did was just straight audio. And then I got a chance to interview Lilo Brancato, who was in The Bronx Tale.
Okay.
He was C, if you remember that movie, the older version.
Okay.
And he had an interesting story, big Hollywood actor, top of the world, pretty much had everything given to him, including a lot of drugs. And he wound up getting hooked on the H word and was involved in a shooting with an off-duty police officer, wound up going to prison for a while. The police officer died as a result of that. And it was a crazy story, but like that was my first ever interview that I did. And then after that, it just kind of like anything else, slowly start to build up a little reputation. I would ask people, hey, if you know anybody else that wants to come on, and that kind of started the ball rolling. And then I just forgot about audio and haven't went back to it since. It's just been interviews every week.
So you were pretty quick transitioning to that interview thing.
Yeah, pretty quick. I went with him, and there was a lot of people that I'd seen. Like the second guy I interviewed, and I talked to Matt about him, was Brian O'Day. And I remembered I seen a show called Masterminds.
Right.
They used to come on. I forgot what channel, but it used to come
it's
on.
Like
all
on
the time.
Court TV or something like that.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And it was like people that done, these amazing capers and almost got away with it. Usually they all wind up getting caught over something very simple. And I just remembered that case, and I actually had his book. So I just Instagrammed him and, talked to him, told him I was doing a channel. And I was like, would you come on? He's like, if you'll do me one favor, I'll come on. He's like, just go to any homeless shelter and make a donation. He's like, wow. I don't care if it's $5. He's like, make a donation to like a recovering addict, and I'll do your show. And I'm like, done. And he was my second. And then it just kind of started snowballing from there. And, I've had Tommy Chong on, which was very cool. Grew up watching Tommy Chong. Tom Sizemore, the actor that was in like Natural Born Killers and Saving Private Ryan and Heat. He's since passed away. So that was kind of weird, like to have somebody on that's passed away. Have you ever had that, Matt?
No, not yet. Of course, I don't.
Not yet, but he's got his fingers crossed.
I don't keep up with anybody though.
Well, I mean, like some people, yeah, I can see where you wouldn't keep up with him. But this guy was a movie star, so
I've interviewed some guys that I thought weren't going to make it. Like the life this guy's living. They say, "Hey, we should do another one." I'm thinking,
you ain't going to be here.
But well, Tom was a little different. He was a movie star, so when he went, it was all over TMZ and every news outlet because he was a big motion picture star. So
right,
that one was
very talented guy. He was.
He was. I mean, and he battled addictions, and he spoke very openly about that. But he was just like he said that was the movie business is what drove him, because he's like, when you're on a movie, working with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, Michael Mann. Like I would never high or anything while I was working. He's like, but then you finish the movie and it's 6 or 8 months before you do another one.
Right.
What can you do in your normal life in those 6 to 8 months that elevates you to that type of level? And he chose to, follow addiction.
Right.
Yeah, I had O'Day on. You gave me O'Day, right?
Yeah.
He was really great. Cool.
Yeah.
He was great.
Great storyteller.
So what are your subscribers at now?
I'm almost at 6,000, I think. I'm like 5.9 or something like that. And it's grown up a bunch in the last couple of years. Because when I started going on shows, like Matt's was the first show that I'd ever went on. And then I went on Danny's, and then I just done Sean Atwood not too long ago.
Yeah.
And then I've already done a few more, but those haven't come out yet. So, whenever they put theirs out, there's some pretty decent platforms too. And I don't get mad at people. Like the one guy I done probably 4 months ago, and I seen him at CrimeCon, and he's like, I haven't forgot about you, man. And I'm just like, look, I know how it is. Sometimes I let months go by. I'll forget that I had it, And sometimes it's timing. I let things sit for a while. Like I had a lady, and I think Matt might have interviewed her, Carol Hellerman, who was in, she was a stewardess on 9/11.
Oh yeah.
She gave a lot of inside information on things that they done for 9/11. I probably recorded that interview 4 months ago, but I saved it until 9/11.
I got you.
She has her version of 9/11.
Yeah. She has her version of what happened.
Is it that jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams?
No, it's
okay.
She goes more in the airport.
Yeah, she's got the whole. There was multiple planes, and that were supposed to have taken off, that they thwarted those planes from taking off. Like it's all these things that I don't know why if they had thwarted multiple planes being involved, then why wouldn't they tell us that? You know what I'm saying? It's she's got a whole conspiracy theory. And
TMZ did come out with that one called The Fifth Plane.
I agree. There's I don't know if it's a series of coincidences or what, but whatever. She was a decent interview.
Okay, so let me ask you. You mentioned aliens. Now we're talking 9/11. So, and I've had my share of people who have reached out to me and I've wanted to discuss things that I was like, I just can't even talk to you. So my question is, you bring these people on with the conspiracy theories, and I don't care whether you believe them or not, you're giving them a platform. How does the platform receive that? Now, I know that we can't mention drug names, but how's YouTube with these conspiracy theories and things?
Typically, they've been okay. Well, see, what do you think, Wade? I mean, have you had any problems with?
I haven't. I've had a few with the conspiracies. I've
Yeah.
talked with Ignacio about some 9/11 stuff. And then I had Bill Burns on, who was obviously really big in he was in that show Ancient Aliens,
Right,
on the History Channel, and he's wrote a bunch of stuff about aliens, some books.
Did it
I
get?
haven't got any kickback.
Did it get in? No, I think I think Brett means like were those videos limited on monetization?
Yeah,
Those weren't. No.
No.
Typically,
So
the
okay.
ones that I have that get demonetized are when politics are brought up. So I try to steer away from politics if possible. Yeah. And if I don't, then I go into it knowing that this video is probably not going to make anything.
All right.
And then sometimes the porn stars will get demonetized.
That's crazy.
Depending. But even that is like I'm fixing to drop one here with a chick that's from the Midwest. She calls herself the Midwestern MILF.
Oh, yeah. Very talented young lady.
Yeah. Her name is Lindsay Ryder. And she got pretty graphic on some stuff that she did. And everything went through. Good to go. Fully monetized. No problems. I had another one on that was probably the most tamest porn star I'd ever had on. I don't even know if we brought up, the business very much.
Right.
It was more or less just other stuff. And it didn't get monetized. So again, the rhyme or reason, I don't know if it's a computer program or for somebody actually listening to it. I don't know, but some of it don't make sense.
Do you dispute?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you win the disputes?
Most of the time.
Okay.
Because usually I very rarely get a video. Even sometimes when I do football picks, I think they just maybe label me as like request or review everything this guy puts up. But I do a show every week with a guy named Anthony Aralotta. And we just pick football picks for the week, who we think is going to win. That's it. We don't talk about, drugs or mob or nothing. It's just straight sports. And when I put it up, it automatically not monetized, have to dispute it. And usually those are resolved in a couple of days. Sometimes some of them take up to a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, how many videos are you putting out a week?
I do one main interview. Me and him are starting to do those once a week. So outside of football season, just one. Now, if it depends, if it's a certain situation or something that kind of fits in with a weekend, I might drop another one. But typically my regular schedule is I drop one a week, usually on Sunday.
Okay. So are weekends a better day to drop? Because I'm dropping Tuesday at 8 a.m.
Say, I don't know. I started with Sunday, and then every now and again, if I get tied up, sometimes I might not drop it till Monday morning. It's not a set schedule, but for the most part, it's on Sunday around like midday.
Okay.
Yeah, Sunday is a good day to drop videos, especially midday.
Yeah.
Like midday anytime is like around 12 or 1.
Yep.
That's when Colby drops, because that's when I think the most people are kind of on YouTube for the longest period of time. Because if you drop it at night, you might get a spike, but very quickly it drops off.
Yeah, because they're going to go to bed or whatever. Right. And
yeah, so Sunday, here I come.
Right. Because, think about it too, at 12 o'clock here is 7 o'clock, in law. So people are getting up. So that's kind of like when it starts to pick up throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when Colby drops all of ours around 12 or 1-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, and this is just, I've seen some videos, and like, to me, dropping, and I don't know why I'm telling you this like I'm an expert, but I was going to say, like, you're doing crime and entertainment, and then you're throwing football in there. You feel like that's part of the entertainment?
That's part of the entertainment, and depending on what you look at, the guy's background is he was a former mob guy from Springfield area, Massachusetts, and he was a huge bookmaker. So the name of the show is called The Better and the Bookmaker, him being the bookmaker, me being the better. And
you think maybe that's why it's not monetized a lot out of the gate?
They let it go monetized. They do let it. I mean, after a review, I haven't had any of those not go. And it was just something to kind of throw in there for football season, just a little something extra for those guys. And it may not be something I continue. It's just something I threw in there for this football season.
So how accurate have you guys been so far?
We can go on to the next question if you want. Like the best week I would have had was this week when we went to CrimeCon, and we couldn't do one because we usually recorded on Thursdays. And I was trying to get down there to Orlando, and I'm just like, yeah, we're going to go next week and say, well, we had all the winners, and everybody's going to believe us. Nobody wins at that. I don't care who you are.
All
if you
right.
did, you just wouldn't be giving them away. You'd be keeping them to yourself.
Do you remember pagers? Right.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a buddy that used to bet on, you would call and you'd leave your pick.
Mm-hmm.
And he figured out with his bookie, if he called to leave his pick before, the cutoff, and he just kept hitting the button to, redo it, that it recorded the timestamp as when he originally called. And he would just hit it and hit it and hit it and hit it. And so whatever it was, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, he knew, then he'd leave his pick. He said he did it for like, little here, little. He said, I got greedy after about 6 months, and the guy cut him off. And he said so yeah. Anyway,
I've heard of that happening. Bookies will cut people off for winning. I've heard of that happening.
Break their legs.
I'm sure if he knew why, it would have been much.
Well, they usually break your legs if you're losing and you don't pay. But for winning, they just tell you to go somewhere else, take your action. But see, that's the thing. Like nowadays, though, that used to be a huge racket for not even mob guys, but anybody. Like I think every town had a local bookie.
Yeah.
But now that's almost getting obsolete because you have all the DraftKings and FanDuels, and I think Logan Paul's even got something now that he's advertising. I mean, every football game, it's 2 or 3 advertisements where you can go and gamble. People are hitting these $10 parlays with 15 legs and win,
right.
$100,000 for risking $10. So everybody's doing it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So sorry, Brett. When did you start your channel over again?
Oh, dude. So I was up to 4,000 subscribers. As you know, I'd been on Danny's, I'd been on your show, I'd been on Lex Friedman, I'd been on Megyn Kelly. And so, I mean, it was growing very well at that point in time. And then I decided I was going to put out that sugar daddy prostitute episode.
Yeah.
I was promptly banned.
So they took your whole channel down for that? I'm sorry to interrupt, but they took your whole channel?
The entire channel down and, banned me completely. Now the show is owned by my wife, and it's her account.
Well, so he's neglecting to say one thing. He was scrolling through the site, and unbeknownst to him, and didn't realize that naked pictures.
There were some banner ads of some women of the night that were offering stuff that your porn stars talk about.
Right. And the algorithm caught it and said, "Oh no."
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes. They were talking about, various liquids and instruments.
You would think they would have just taken the video down and given you a strike.
Man, I raised I raised hell. I begged, I'm in cybersecurity, so I know everyone on the planet. I contacted people at friggin' YouTube, everything else, and it was still, nope, can't help you. So I relaunched the show. I believe I relaunched that December, and just picked up where I left off with the episode count and everything else. Like tomorrow is episode 89. It was just me talking to people until you one morning, you give me a call because you've got a presentation and I'm telling you what to do and you're going to be fine and everything. Then you say, Brett, you need to talk to criminals. And I'm like, Matt, I don't want to talk to criminals.
I'm talking to criminals. I don't want to talk to anybody else.
So I started and I came up with this idea called prison politics because, again, politics, I'm not looking to make any money on my show at all, evidently. But it's the show now is I do the solo episodes still, but I alternate interview weeks between a felon one week and then the next week I've got law enforcement, security professionals, something like that. And honestly, dude, I mean, I've got 1,800 and I think 11 subscribers now. I've grown 300 like in the past 2 weeks, but For me, honestly, man, it's the show I was planning on talking about politics, and it's changed completely. Now it's talking about the prison experience, about the hardships of getting out, all that stuff that your viewers don't want to listen to is exactly what the hell I'm talking about. It talks about that. I've got a guy on tomorrow. His name is David Seymour. He served time on some meth charges, and so he's trying to turn his life around. I was talking to him on the show, and he was like, I want to be a sports broadcaster. And he's going to school for broadcasting. I'm like, well, dude, you can start a YouTube channel right now. And he was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. Well, the dude listened to me, started his YouTube channel like last week. He's only got like 3 videos out. You can tell he's brand new. But, if I'm making a difference like that and showing that, former criminals are human beings, law enforcement, all those cops that everybody's trying to put down, they're human beings too. I mean, that to me, that brings a lot of value. That makes me a better person. I'd love to make money, but
Right.
At the end of the day, I think this is
It's
important for me to do.
monetized, right? Is it?
I've not clicked monetize yet. I'm going to. I keep threatening to, but
So-
I want to get back to that 4,000 viewers that I had.
Oh my God! Listen, here's the thing, and here's here's the problem with not clicking the button yet. Is that first of all, they lowered it, right? Like it's 3,000.
Yeah,
it's 3,000 hours and 500 subscribers.
I've got a shit ton of hours.
Yeah,
Used to be more than that.
Which it used to be 4,000 and 1,000. So to me, it's like you should be making it harder, not easier.
Right.
Yeah.
But keep in mind too that it's the reason it's important to get monetized is even if you say, no, I don't want the commercial showing up. I don't want the truth is, which video would YouTube push harder? The one where they're going to make money on it or the one where they're not?
That makes sense.
You want to get monetized because it forces them to say, let's push this guy's video. People with, buyers, like my guys that watch my stuff, like I don't get sponsors. Sometimes I get a sponsor, like I get a sponsor here and there, but guys are like, bro, you should have big time sponsors. But I'm sure from YouTube's analytics and marketing, I don't fit a great demographic. My guys don't buy anything.
Right.
Most of my guys work at Tire Kingdom. They work at they drive a forklift or
Your main demographic is Tire Kingdom.
It is. It's blue collar guys.
Blue collar guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is great. Like I love my demographic, but that's not going to get me. That's not State Farm's not going to come and give me a sponsorship.
Well, now, are you on Spotify or not?
I am on Spotify.
And you're still not doing sponsors on Spotify either?
I think we are doing one on Spotify, but I was just thinking of YouTube.
Right.
And I don't even do it. Like Colby reads it. I can't read, Brett. I
can't read. I was too busy committing fraud to learn how to read.
The few times that I've done, read them off, the look on first of all, it takes me 10 times to do it, and I have to do it in little batches. Like I have to read like 3 sentences and then do the next 3. And the look on Colby's just like embarrassed for me. You ever have somebody look at you and like they look at you like, oh,
every day.
It's so sad. Oh, look at him trying, So anyway, I'll make an effort, but I don't get a lot of good sponsors. So to me, like getting AdSense is huge. That's why my videos, I like to do an hour, 2-hour video.
Right.
Plus I like to kind of feather out the story anyway, like really, where'd you come from? What, like what contributed to the whole thing. But if I was you, I would get monetized.
I'll do that. I'll click that button tomorrow. Roll that die so that YouTube looks at my videos, especially this one I released tonight regarding stolen cars and skimmers and how to buy them.
When I think
that's where you fucked up. How to buy them.
Well, I told him like the stolen car is completely fake. The skimmers, you can pick up skimmers online.
When I first started my show, that's when I realized like the views didn't necessarily reflect, or they weren't accurate as far as to watch hours, because I'd drop a video that was, an hour long and it got 2,000 or 3,000 views. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I should be monetized now. And then I go look, and the actual watch hours are much, much less.
Right.
And, you know, and plus too, I didn't have a name when I started. So I essentially started from scratch. Like Matt, you know, had a name. People at least knew who he was. And, you know, I'd never been on anyone's show when I come on. So I had to start from zilch. But
Right.
I used those, I used Facebook and all of the groups that I was in for like mob related content and Sopranos related content. I interviewed like 6 people off the Sopranos TV show.
Nice.
So when I would get those and I would cut the clips up, I would share that to all those groups. So you're talking 30 something groups. I would share clips from anybody that was in anything with Sopranos or anybody that was in anything with the mob or anything related to that. So it got it out there. And that's really how I kind of done it to start with. And then I started doing things outside of just, I didn't want to get boxed into just the mob stuff. So then I started doing, you know, drug smugglers and everything else. But that's kind of how I helped do mine. And I still do that to this day, depending on what, you know, it may be. Use for Facebook as a advertising tool.
Right.
You just started doing doing TikToks too, right?
I was doing them in the beginning, and then somehow or another I got locked out of my password or locked out of my account because I had like mine, my personal, and then I had the one for the show. And then I got locked out of the one for the show, couldn't figure out how to get back in it, didn't feel like starting a new one and redoing them. So I was just like, the hell with it. And then finally I just sat down one day, figured out what it was, figured out how to get back into it. And then, yeah, you actually kind of gave me some pointers on how to do better shorts, and now things look like that.
I actually did several shorts for him.
Yes, yeah, you did.
Nice.
Like I looked at, and he didn't ask for them. I just looked at. I was looking through some of his shows, and I was like, bro, like he's got like this guy's great. Like I'm saying, like you know what I'm saying, like the guy he was interviewing was, I mean, he was out of Central Casting for a month.
Yeah, he was.
And you know, and I told him that you guys the whole thing, and I was like, oh, this guy, he's smoking like a cigar, and he's, you know, and I told Henry Hill, I'll kill you is what I'll do. I'll kill you. You know, I was like, oh man, this guy. So I put together a couple of shorts and just sent them to him and said, bro, you got to post these. Like, check these out. This is what you should be doing. And he posted them. And you know, the worst thing about TikTok,
the worst thing.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking TikTok or shorts is that you'll post something, it does nothing. You post something else, it does nothing. You post one that's half-assed and it gets, you know, 20,000 views. You post another one, doesn't do well. Another one, you know, but if you keep posting, then suddenly you'll start posting stuff and it'll get 500,000, 300,000, 1 million, and then your channel starts blowing. You know, you get all of that kind of, you know, it becomes, you know, it's a funnel, starts funneling everybody toward your channel. And I could see when my stuff gets 200, 300,000 views, you can literally see over that week, you can sit there and just watch your subscribers go up.
Okay.
And after you get 10,000 followers on TikTok, you can put a link directly to your YouTube channel.
So that was what I was going to ask. So, and I've not started TikTok yet. I've got like 30 shorts made that I'm processing through and putting end tags on and things like that. But you don't tag, you're not able to tag initially the subscriber link when you start out?
No.
Okay, so you just mentioned that, hey, I'm Matt Cox on YouTube, and they find you like that?
I mean, you can just go in and leave like a comment in there. Like you could always leave comments in there as the, you know, obviously as the person who owns, they know you're the person that owns the thing, and just throw in the link or say, hey, check out the full video. Or even on TikTok, when you write it out, you can leave, I think you can leave the link in that to the video, or at least you can leave the link to the YouTube channel, you know, check out full interview on, you know, on YouTube, and then put the link to your channel.
Okay.
But to me, you know, it's having it right under the TikTok or the symbol for your channel and having the link to your channel and clicking it.
Right.
And look, you always listen, I literally have had links, the link on the TikTok account and in the video. And I'm telling people, you still have these guys in the comment section saying, where can I watch the full video? What is this too? And it's like, oh man, like I don't need you as a viewer.
That's those Tire King people.
Yeah, you're a problem. So yeah, I definitely, yeah, you got to start you have to start plus you have to start one anyway, because if you go on TikTok and put your name in, people are already cutting you up. You're already all over TikTok.
Yeah, I know. And I've got the damn book is out next year. We're the proposal goes out this week for sale. UTA is expecting big things from that. So I mean, yeah, I need to get on TikTok. Absolutely.
Yeah, you might not want to disappoint them. You might not, like, you might want to go ahead and.
It's like, who is this son of a bitch?
Yeah. They're probably going to expect you to pull some weight.
Probably.
So, yeah, I definitely would do that. Sorry, do you do your own editing?
I do my own editing for the show, and if you've seen the show, you basically know it's one take.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, that's how mine is.
It's one take. I'll cut the beginning and the end. Other than that, it's one take. That's my edit. So I was talking to a guy. His name, what was his name? Oh, I forgot his name. They called him Animal in prison because he bit a guy's nose off.
Yeah. Served
32 years in Angola.
I heard someone's feelings once.
Yeah, and they created this term for the guy. The term is called criminal menopause. It's criminal menopause. It's the age at which a criminal no longer wants to commit crime. So they let him out, and he was talking to me. I got to say, he was absolutely great. I mean, just a fascinating guy. And you could tell. I mean, I'm not sure how contrite he was, but he was not going to commit crime anymore. He was too old to do that. But he asked me, he was like, "Hey man, if you don't edit this, it should be a pretty good show." And I was like, "Dude, you just don't understand. I don't edit. Whatever you say is going up." So.
Yeah, we barely ever edit unless somebody says, hey, can you get rid of that? Can you cut that? I usually tell people beforehand if they're like, "Hey man, so you guys are going to edit this, right?" And I'm like, "Probably not, bro."
Right.
Like, don't say anything.
Yeah. Don't
say anything you don't want to go up.
So. And you were talking at the beginning, and I know I'm going to get somebody like that before long, of someone that's going to continue to mention the drug of choice or use very colorful language over and over and over. Has there ever been a show that you just have not aired because of that?
No, I think there's been some where Colby has gone and bleeped out some of them.
Okay.
Which is funny. We had one where we beeped. I mean, it was just beep, 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 beep. I was like, constantly. And people were like, some people are, of course, you just can't please everybody. Some people are like, "Man, all that beeping is, man, what the hell? What's the problem?" And then there's other people who are like, "Bro, it was comical how much you had to bleep this guy. Like, it was killing me." So yeah, I don't think we haven't had one like that. If it was that bad, I probably would have said something.
Okay.
And a lot of people are they understand going in. They'll say, "Hey, can I cuss?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can cuss." Like, try not to get crazy, but
right.
Don't go casino on me over here.
Yeah.
There you go.
See, that's the one thing about my people.
Remember Seth?
Listen,
Seth. We had Seth Ferrante. I have to say his whole name. Seth he's aggressive. And we were eating. I don't, and he has no clue. He, to this day, if he not that he'll watch, not that anybody watches my stuff, but not that he's gonna watch it, but we had dinner with him, what, a couple, 2-3 times, right?
Yeah. Well, I know y'all had breakfast one morning. I was there, but we had dinner the first night.
Even then, I think the guy at the table next door is like hurried up and just ate and took off because he's so aggressive and he cusses, and I fucking told that motherfucker. I said, "Fuck you, bro. Who the fuck do you think?" So I don't put my fucking self in that kind of fucking position. Fuck those guys. Fuck them, man. Who they fucking think they are? And it's like, bro, like, well, this is a family place. Like, people are
we're in Sunday brunch. You can't do this.
People's kids are doing like earmuffs. Their parents are screaming earmuff. It was bad, and he did it at every place we ate. And at one point I turned to him, I said, "Bro, I'm thinking maybe you should get back on the marijuana." Like, because he was telling us about how he's not smoking marijuana. I was like, I don't think that's a good idea just for society. So
let me buy you some. I've got it.
But yeah. So I can't have him on again until he's back on the something.
So and here's the other thing. So and at some point I've got to bring people in studio to talk to them. So how do you work that? I mean, is it difficult to get people to travel to you? I mean, do you pay them to come in or what?
That's me because
That's you. You're
Wade,
the guy with the
right.
shitload of subscribers.
Wade does not. Wade just does StreamYard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay. When I first started, there was a lot of begging, and like, please, oh, bro, I really, I was begging, bro. It was really sad. So, and then when I got to probably around 50, 60,000 subscribers, then people started saying, yeah, bro, like, they kind of go back and forth, and usually, well, let's say 50% of the time they would come in because they think, okay, well, and I always tell them, and the truth is that if you show up in person, we get about 50, 60% more viewers. So
Okay.
it's like, look, what are you doing? I mean, are you pitching something? Do you have a book? Do you have it? Because if you're trying to get a bunch of views, if you're just saying, hey, I want to come on your show, I want to tell my story, the views don't mean much to me because it doesn't, no benefit to them. Okay, fine. We can do a StreamYard. But if you want a bunch of views, if you're hoping to get a bunch of views and get found or get, noticed or whatever, the case may be, if you're looking for whatever, to get your story out there, then you really should probably come in. And then of course, if they say, well, would you pay? I don't pay. Like, I don't pay. I don't pay to fly you in. I don't pay for your hotel. I'm not paying for anything. I think maybe one person I've reimbursed for gas. That's about it. I can't afford to pay. And so, and I get a lot of guys in the comment section that will say, and I think Wade's heard me say this before, bro, quit being cheap. You need to fly these guys out here. And so I break down the math for them. And the math is this. If the guy comes here and let's say he's going to get 30, let's say 50,000 views on a 2-hour podcast, that's roughly $600. So I'm going to pay $400 to fly you in and at least 150 or so, plus probably have to pay for lunch or whatever. So roughly $600. I'm break even at this point. Now let's say I do a StreamYard with you and I only get 25,000 views. That's $250. So do I make $250 profit, or do I break even or possibly even go into my own pocket?
Makes sense.
I can't break even and I can't go into my own pocket just to have you in studio. I would love to have you in studio, but I can't do that. And it's way more time consuming. They show up early. We typically shoot the shit for 20 or 30 minutes. They stay 20 or 30 minutes late. When someone's in person, you tend to talk longer, which is great. The videos are a little bit longer. I also have to have Colby come here and work all the cameras. So that's more time for him. Then he still has to go home and edit it. So it's a much larger production if they show up. And I want them to show up. I like them showing up, but I cannot. It's not it, the ROI, it's not there.
Right.
So,
and everybody assumes that it is because they see like Rogan, and I'm like, bro, Rogan's numbers
you
are
can't compare
nowhere near what I'm doing.
Right.
Everybody has this big misconception that if you're on YouTube and you're interviewing people, you're making like thousands of dollars. And I'm like, no, that's not how it is. It's not.
No.
But like Matt said, though, if you got something you want to push, if you got a book, or if you have a movie coming out, or whatever the case, anything, if you have a website or you're selling something, or if you have your own podcast,
right,
it's good to go on channels like him and get exposure. And that's, what I did. Plus, with the story that I had, he was the first guy I ever went on and told to. And I flew down. I think I got tickets. Black Friday had Breeze airline tickets for $25 per way. So it was like $50 to go to Tampa. And I think I paid 30 each way for my bag. So I paid more for my bag to fly down there than I did.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I was like, I can't, I can't pay. I just can't, I want to. At some point, I hope that I'm in that position. But it's only been the last
500,000 views. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that was so Friedman, when I was on his show, he offered to pay. And at that point in time, I mean, he was getting 3.5 million views for these interviews. Mine's at 5.1 right now. And he offered $600 and I told him to keep it. So that's what I did. But I mean, that's an indicator of, if someone like he can't really pay any more than that. You certainly cannot.
No. Like people think, oh, listen, I've had guys who think they're like, what do you bring in? You bring in like what, $20,000-$30,000 a month? Like, I almost hung up right then. I was like, this conversation is going nowhere. Like this. So yeah, it's or if somebody, or if when people say, well, Rogan, like, I'm not, bro, I can't carry Rogan's bags. Like, I'm not Rogan. Like, I'll never be. What are you doing? So, we're so far apart on this conversation. Yeah, but I mean, it has, in the last 6 months, YouTube has been paying my bills,
right,
for the first time, which is great. Which I'm, I'm thankful for. I appreciate that. I'm thrilled because I was never positive that was going to happen. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The best part about doing my channel is that I really just have to shoot my mouth off and talk to other criminals, which is all I really like to do anyway.
Yeah.
So, not that it's not still work, it's still work.
Right.
But, I can sit down and talk to somebody. And if it's a good conversation, you glance up to see how long have we been talking, and you're like, oh my God, it's an hour and 45 minutes. Like, I thought it was 45 minutes. So it's such, in that way, it's easy. I enjoy it. I like it. But I also schedule, I was telling Wade this over the weekend, I schedule 7 interviews to get 4 every week.
Just because people aren't showing up, or what?
They don't show up.
Okay.
And keep in mind, first of all, I'm dealing with criminals.
Right.
So, but not just
not the most dependable people.
Right. Well, it's funny. I was going to say, and, like, for instance, I also speak with, lawyers, but I had a lawyer he's rescheduled 3 times, but at least he told me like an hour beforehand. He's like, yeah, we're going to have to reschedule this. Oh, okay. So, what, comedians I've talked to, comedians with criminal records anyway. So yeah, they just don't show up. They just, and then 2 days later they call back and they tell me that somebody's sick or this happened. It's like, I was at the hospital.
I don't hold that against people unless you do it multiple times. Like, I'll give you once, maybe twice if the excuse is good enough. But like after the 3rd time, I'm like, hey, maybe I'll get back to you, and then I just don't get back to you.
Yeah, it's always like, oh, my sister was sick and I went to the hospital. Would you perform surgery? Like, I mean, you had your phone. Like, I don't understand. You could have texted me.
Yeah.
So I get it. I hear you. I mean, I'm rooting for you. I want to interview, but after, like you said, like after the 2nd time, it's like, stop, bro. Like, this is no good.
Right.
Now you've wasted hours and hours of my time. Luckily, that's all I do. So I can, you can always respond, do an email or cut up a TikTok.
And see, that's the hard part about me is this isn't I have a day job. So right. I get off at 4:30 in the afternoon, come home, hop in the shower. And then usually I try to schedule about 2, maybe 3 a week. And like you said, sometimes that even falls apart. And then on top of that, still I need like an intern that just wants to edit shit and work on it, and will do it for free to just say, hey, I work with that guy.
Free. You said for free.
See Matt off camera for free.
Or get him some airtime. I'll put him on air. We'll interview him.
My wife kind of sat up and I said, for free. For free. Oh.
Once the show makes $30,000 a month, then we'll pay you a stipend.
Oh yeah, we get into that kind of money. But at the same time, like when I have a short, luckily I saved all the shorts from even the very first show. So going back, like I already have kind of a mental idea of what I want to put in there with it, what stills, what's going to work, what area. So I also am the type of guy where I don't know if I would trust someone else to do it like I like it or how I want it. So it's better that I do it. I just don't have, like, sometimes I don't get into bed till 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I get up at 5. So it's exhausting, but I do enjoy it. Like the editing sucks, but I enjoy doing the interview.
But you're also not staying up till 12 or 1 o'clock because you hate it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I do enjoy it.
So I love it when my wife will kind of like yell at me, like, you've been doing this all day. Then I'm like, this is work.
Yeah. That's what I say.
I'm working. I'm working.
You think
That's
I
all
like doing this?
Yeah.
I had to tell her too. She's like, "You're leaving again? You're going to Orlando?" I'm like, "It's for work." She's like, "Or where's Orlando?" And all that doesn't go together for work. Like, yeah, to a
Listen,
con.
I've been up at like 11:30, 1 o'clock, 11:30 at night, and she'll come down. And it's even the worst thing is when she comes down and just walks over and then just turns around and walks off. And I'm like, man, I don't even want to go upstairs.
Yeah, you might as well just stay and finish.
I
what
might
you're doing.
that couch is so comfortable. Like,
Probably safer.
yeah. Yes. Hold.
So Matt, I got a question for you. So like the clip, like the ones you've done for me of Anthony, and you mix in the clips from Goodfellas. I was always worried that would be like a copyright strike, but on shorts you don't have to worry about that.
No, there's no
really?
copyright strike on shorts or TikTok, or Instagram for any of that, any B-roll.
So
Nice.
there's people out there that make full-blown channels of just recycling clips from TV shows. Like Sopranos is another one like that. Like that's
Like legally stealing.
yeah, legally stealing. You're jonesing over. I can see it.
Yeah.
Legally, you're taking that and you're just putting. Sometimes it ain't even a full minute. It might be 30 seconds, but it's clips of shows.
Now, music's different. Like if you take
Right.
somebody's music and throw it on there,
Right.
then they're going to have a problem. But all my stuff I use, I have a subscription to Envato, but YouTube, you go to your, you go to your library and it's all free stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's
people
what
are
I
always like,
use.
oh, it's no good. Bro, there's tons of good stuff in there. Nobody's listening to music anyway. It's in the background.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Right.
just little instrumental sounds that, but that's what I use on all mine. And most of them are the same, depending on the tone. Like if it's something kind of sinister, it's a different one. But if it's something upbeat, it's a little something else. But yeah, it's all right. Nobody really pays attention to the music or what it is.
Right.
Ignacio.
Mhm.
So, he's done some with serial killers and stuff. And I've thrown, splatters of blood, right? Took it. The TikTok was like, oh, strike, take this down. And they sent me something. I'm like, oh my God. Like I threw some blood splatter. Like this was nothing. Like they don't, or if you show like a gun, like I'd have a gun fall and it just, kind of clack around and stuff. Like it's at the very end, it just fell on the ground. And while it said, YouTube in the back, same thing. Showed a gun. TikTok's the worst.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about shorts. I push shorts more than anything. Like really what we're doing is I always say TikTok. Oh yeah, you do TikToks. Really what we're doing is we're cutting up shorts and we're just throwing them on TikTok because I'm more concerned about shorts. You're going to get a lot more people from shorts.
So that was going to be my question. So most of your subscribers are coming from the shorts that you're putting out?
They are now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you can see it. I think I've seen one the other day. It was like you got a subscriber from a short from TikTok. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also you can make money on the shorts.
On TikTok or the short YouTube short?
No, on the YouTube shorts.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen it. I've had a few that's made a couple bucks.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but
no.
I've had some that got like $4 or $5 million, and they may. Sorry.
Damn.
Jesus.
I need to borrow them.
4 or 5. I'm sorry, like 5 million views, and they'll make $200, $220, $230. And I've had this is on shorts. Like I've had a bunch that have gotten in the millions on TikTok, but my TikTok channel is not monetized.
Okay.
Because I had a viewer. I hate to say fan. It's so obnoxious. I had a subscriber. I had a subscriber that contacted me, and I've had this happen a few times, where they contact you and say, "Hey, bro, I'll cut up your stuff. I'll do your editing for free." And stop. It's not going to happen. You're going to do 7 of them. Then you're going to slow down, and then you're just going to disappear because you're embarrassed that you said this. And you realize, oh my God, I just promised this guy I would work a part-time job for free. What was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
So I those guys, anyway, I had one guy who came from, I've had 2 of them. One guy was a young kid. He cut up a bunch of shorts. He said, man, I just want to help you do this. And his thing was, I want to help you do this because it's something I think I might like to do in the future. So I thought, okay, that makes sense. Like if he does well, I could probably get him people. and help him. So I feel okay with that.
Right.
And then he started doing it, and it took off. And then he slowed down. And so we were like, hey, let's, we'll send him some money. So I had a buddy who started paying him. And because he was, wants to see my channel grow. And it was still in the growing phase. And that went on for about 3 to 6 months. It got up to around 150,000 followers on TikTok. And it was starting to really grow. We weren't even putting up shorts. And then he got a strike. And then a few weeks later, he got another strike. And then a few weeks later, he got another strike, and they took the whole channel down. And then he just disappeared and wouldn't respond. Like, we weren't mad. It's like, I'm not mad, but are you gonna? And then by the time I finally did contact him, he was like, bro, like, it's just too much. I just can't do it. And I was like, okay, I get it. That's fine. And he was a young kid, really nice kid. So then a little bit later, I had a guy from Canada who came along and said, look, I've been studying this. He goes, I watch all your stuff. I've been studying it. Can I start a channel for you? And I was like, yeah. And I told him what happened with the other guy. And I said, look, if it's too much for you, just tell me and I'll take it over, but don't just disappear.
Right.
And he said, I wouldn't do that. Look. And he was obviously, he's an not older guy, but he's in his 20s or 30s. And he's like, I'm not a young kid. I'm not going to get concerned and just disappear. And he ran it up to 120,000 followers on TikTok, started a whole new channel. The problem is, by the time he started saying, hey, look, my job's picking up, I really can't do this anymore. And he handed it over to Colby and I. And by this time, now the channel's making money. And it obviously always was making money, but enough money where it's like, hey, I basically can just do this myself. And got to a point where Colby could hire somebody. So now we've got me making TikToks or shorts and TikToks. Colby's got a guy making shorts and TikToks. I got to a point where I was like 6 months ago where I said, look, Colby, if you can make this many TikToks every single month and I'll make this many, then here's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to do 2 additional interviews a week, and we'll post 4 pieces of content. So we do 1 live, minimum of try and do 1 live and 3 StreamYards a week. And I think that will continue this slope, and I'll be able to just do this full time. And he said, okay, let's do that. And that's what we did. And it's been working. So, but the problem is now we're trying to monetize the TikTok channel, and it was created in Canada. And you can't monetize it.
Wow.
So now we're having to start over.
Jeez,
right.
Dude.
Like, it's at over 115,000 followers.
So do you use the same videos from the other accounts? Like if your account gets banned or taken down, like the first one, can you reuse all those videos for the new one?
Yes, I think we did reuse some of them. I'm not really, I'd have to ask Colby. I'm not positive. I feel like some of them we did reuse.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, you know what? I take that back. I think this guy did all of these by himself. The guy in Canada, I think he did all of them himself. I don't think he wanted to use any of the other ones. I think we have them, but I don't think he wanted to use them. And listen, this guy, I mean, he knew what he was doing. Like he was actually making a different video for TikTok, Shorts, and Reels. Same video, but he'd alter them slightly.
Right.
Because he was like, you don't understand. You can't post it like this because they scroll to see the other platforms and they won't push it as hard. And he knew what he was doing because his videos have millions of views.
Nice.
Our videos have 10,000. Maybe I've got a few that have 100. We do have a few that have millions, 5 million, 2 million. But for the most part, they're 30,000, 5,000,
right,
100,000. Like we're not performing nearly the way he is. And I tell you what's really upsetting is when I spend 3 hours making a 1 minute short, and Colby's guy clearly spends 20 minutes making a short of almost the same thing, and his gets 400,000 views, and mine gets 5,000 views. And I'm telling you right now, mine was better. I used B-roll. I mean, it was flawless. And I'm like, and I've decided what the problem is it's the viewers. They don't appreciate.
They're the problem.
They don't appreciate quality. They don't appreciate,
Find Matt Cox craftsmanship. That's what
Right.
you need
So,
to do.
so let me ask you then:
craftsmanship lost
Am
on
I
them.
better off? Am I better off paying someone to make shorts then?
It depends on how many do you want to put up a week.
How many
We
do
put
I
up
need to
shorts.
put up a
We
week?
put up shorts. We put up shorts every day. But
Okay.
if you were just, the whole thing is, look, I always love these guys. I'll talk to these guys and they're like, well, I'll put up one every day. It's like, hey, wait, that's going to be fine for a week and a half, 2 weeks, but then you're going to start missing days. You're better off for the algorithm to say, hey, I'm going to put up 3 a week.
Okay.
Because that's manageable. You think,
That's
I can
what
do
I
more
try to
than
do.
that. No, listen, I'm sure you can, but you're also going to go on trips. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're going to, so if you could, you could certainly pay somebody, but you really have to kind of micromanage them, because here's what they do is that you'll hire some guy that will hire someone from India
Right.
to do it. And then not that they're not wonderful people.
You felt the need to say that.
Because I'm scared. I'm scared of cancel culture. So
Yeah, that won't get you canceled at all.
So the narration sometimes will be off, like they won't catch like misspellings and stuff. And honestly, it's probably not even important.
Right.
But and then here's what really happens is sometimes they'll throw them up and you'll watch it and you'll go, like, that's not even a story. Like, I don't think this guy knows what he's talking about. I don't think he understands it. He's not even really saying anything just now. He just threw a picture of me and the guest and we rambled a little bit, and that's not going to work. So if you get a good guy, and I have a good guy, I have a couple of good guys that they probably could. And then you pay to have pay to have 3 a week done or 2 a week done, and then stay on them, like tweak them. Like they'll end up putting somebody on your account that you can explain, look, I don't like this. Don't do that again. I like this. I like the way you did. And that guy will realize, okay, this is the way Brett wants his done. And he'll do it over and over again.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, because listen, and you can always give them they were like, oh, just TikToks. I was like, no, bro, no, do 59 seconds or less. And that way I can post it on all of them, because none of mine one medium is not going to feed the funnel enough. I want to hit all 3.
Yeah, that's what I've started doing too. And I kind of took that cue from you when I made the short, because I never could figure out with the shorts, because it has that zoom in, and the way my layout was on the Zoom, it's never like centered on one person. So Matt had kind of explained to me how you had to change the, whatever proportion or whatever it is in DaVinci. I use DaVinci Resolve for all my editing. And you just basically had to stack 2 videos on top of each other and then kind of change around the zooming and set it up how you want it.
Gotcha.
And that's how I started doing it. And it works real well. And I do up under the 59 seconds. That's like he said, you can do a reel, a Facebook or Instagram, put the same one on all 3.
Okay.
Just makes it a little easier.
Time and trouble. Right.
Now, some of them for TikToks, I will go a little longer. If like the story's a key part, like I had Tara Newell on, and she was down there at CrimeCon also. And she was telling the story. That's the Dirty John. I don't know if you ever seen that podcast.
I have,
the TV shows. Okay, so she was like in detail describing the attack in the parking garage. I just couldn't get all of that in a minute or in 59 seconds. So that one I couldn't make a short out of, but I did put it on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, because you can go longer than that. So some cases I'll put them on there like that.
What's so funny is you'll post them for a month and a half, 2 months, and you feel like they're getting 1,000, 500, 1,500, 2,000. You're just like, this is never good. And then one day, one of them starts to go. You're like, oh my god, it's 100,000. The next day it's 100. It's 360, and the next day it's 450, and then you're like, oh my, and then it goes and goes and goes. And you're like, it's so unexpected, and it will be something that you're like, I don't get it. Like, why this one?
Yeah,
I got you.
But
the
it's first video I ever had that got like a lot of shares, a decent amount of shares, was there's a haunted house that got pretty popular that this guy was doing, to where basically they could touch you. They could you know, I don't want to say torture, that might be the wrong word, but pretty close to it. Like they could physically take you, duct tape your hands down,
Right.
put you in a tub, dump ants or scorpions on you. Like it's pretty wild. And it's called McCamey Manor.
Right.
And there's a very creepy like trailer that they have out there for it. I mean, they're like ramming rotten eggs in these people's mouths. I mean, it's supposedly, if you can make it through this house, you get like 25 grand. So
no one makes it through.
No, nobody's ever made it through. And it's not designed for you to make it through. And that's what Russ was even saying. He's like, he didn't want to do the interview for a long time. Like I had to beg him. He's like, I don't like doing lives. You have to talk to people. I'm like, this isn't live, bro. It's just me and you. People take out what I say out of context. I'm like, I will send you the interview and then you say, hey, this is good. So I finally convinced him to do it. And he's like, you know, I don't even charge people to do this. It's not like they have to pay a fee. And he was like, he even makes them do like a psych evaluation. He makes them do a physical. And he tells them straight up, like, you really don't want to do this. But yet people still do it. Right. And obviously nobody's ever went through. And he's like, you know, when they get in there and they realize they got to pull one of their fingernails out, they go, you didn't tell me I had to pull a fingernail out. And he goes, yes, I did. There's a 50-page waiver that you signed to do this. And he's like, page 33, it says may have to pull a fingernail out. And that's the part that I pulled up on. I woke up the next morning. It had like some ungodly number of shares and all these comments of people saying, oh, he's just torturing. I mean, just crazy, crazy shares. I was just
that's
like,
a great
wow.
Halloween video.
Oh, that's when I put it up, was Halloween. That's exactly when I put it up.
Have you
I've
cut
tried
that?
to come on.
Have you cut that into shorts?
Not since then. No, I probably need to redo it.
Yeah, because Halloween's coming up. That might be get you a whole nother, you know, a whole second look on, you know,
there you go,
panel or whatever I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I recycle it. Yeah, for sure. And that would be a good one. And he's not done a lot. Like he doesn't do a ton of interviews. He's real selective.
I thought a lot of customers. No.
Yeah.
No, he does do a lot. That's the thing. He's like, he said women make it further than most men. Like he has a Facebook group that he's pretty selective in who joins it, but they will go live when somebody tries to do it. And so like you start with, they basically, I don't say kidnap, that's the wrong word, but you're basically like, he tells you a spot to be, this van pulls up, they throw like a bag over your head, they throw you in a van, and then it just starts. So it might start them putting you in this mud puddle. I mean, just all kind of crazy stuff. You just Google McCamey Manor and watch some of the stuff.
Yeah, I think I would not sign on to that.
No.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
I feel like it's, for some reason, when you said a van pulls up, I pictured old school with Blue. You know, the van pulls up. He's this little old man. They throw him in the van. They take him and, sorry. Blue, my boy, Blue. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He's like, okay, all right, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm never, ever would I do it. And I had a friend of mine that like tried to sign up to go through it, and I forgot the reason they give him, but like they are very selective in who they let.
Is this the guy in Tennessee? Is this guy?
Yes, Russ McCamey.
Yeah,
that's him.
Yeah, I read about it.
That's all I did was read about it for sure. I damn sure wasn't going to do it. But yeah, it took a lot of like jawing at him to get him to do it. He was real reluctant.
Well, and I've not watched the interview, so pretty good guy in the interview, or just batshit crazy?
Well, but he's pretty both.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean he said he started. I want to say he was in the Navy, and he just loved Halloween, so he would decorate like parts of the submarine that they were on, like these things, and it just kind of grew. He wasn't torturing people then. That part kind of grew. Originally, I think it was in San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. And then it got relocated to like the Tennessee or area or wherever he's at now. But yeah, that's the guy.
The torturing part probably came like after he got married.
Yeah,
probably.
He probably joined the military thinking he'd, the enemy.
Yeah, I think the last time I spoke with him, he was in talks with Eli Roth to do some sort of like deep documentary dive about the house. Eli Roth, if any of you don't know, was the guy behind all like the Hostel movies and a lot of the torture movies. And they were in talks to do something. I don't really know where that got to or where it stands, but I know they were in talks to do something. And I had reached out to him, I think last October, about coming on and doing another one. And, you know, we went back and forth, and he was just really hard to convince to do it.
Right.
Because he does have a lot of people that just claim that that's all he is like a torture lover. I don't know whether it's sadomasochistic or whatever that name is.
You got a bad rap.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just misunderstood.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But there's documented proof you do it a lot. That's the thing. This guy's head's like in a cage, and they just drop like these scorpions down, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not going to sign on to that to begin with.
Mm-mm.
You know,
I don't even like being near a palmetto bug or anything like that.
No,
I feel like if you sign on to it, you have it coming.
Yeah, if you're going to, you know, the terms of service, it's there.
Pretty clear.
And I
You didn't read
that
this?
No one reads terms of service, but still.
So
Matt,
sorry.
Question for you. So whenever you're doing, how many interviews do? You said you schedule like 5?
I schedule like 7 or 8, and I end up doing about 4 a week.
Okay.
But how many do you actually drop a week?
4.
Oh,
So
you do 4. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So how many do you have in your reserve right now?
We probably have 6 or 7.
Okay.
I would think. Yeah.
Wow. So it's week to week finding people.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm scared of. That's why I haven't bumped. Well, to start with, I don't have enough time to edit shit like that. But I'm always scared of running on a dry route. So that's why I only really do 1 a week. And I've probably got about 25 saved up, ready to go.
You have 25 saved up?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I've got probably 12 or 15 right now in the bank.
I felt good that we got like 6 or so. I was like, yeah, we're good. We're solid.
Yeah, but I mean, so and you absolutely dwarf us with subscribers. So are we better off? Because I'm doing basically 1 a week. This week I'm doing 2. Just that I've got like a 20-minute thing I put out today. But are we better off releasing multiple episodes per week or not?
I would think I would. So I would. You probably are. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's gonna. Well, you're not right this minute because you need to get monetized. Once you're monetized, I would try and do. Brett, basically all Brett does, as far as I understand, is keynote speaking. He's a professional full-time keynote speaker. So, you know, you can do 2 a week. If you did 2 a week. So the way I look at it is, look, you know, once you get into it, and obviously, you know, Wade knows this, is that the views mean very little. It's the watch time.
Okay.
You know, and people don't understand that. People are like, you know, they're well, you know, it's like saying, you know, where people go, oh, you got a YouTube channel, how many subscribers do you have? Bro, I'll take 10,000 subscribers and get 100,000 views with 30 minutes of watch time on each one of them.
Right.
You can keep your subscribers. Like all the subscribers is just ego.
Yeah.
So, and this is same thing with the views. The views don't make me any money. If I put out a 15-minute video and it's getting 3 or 4 minutes of watch time and it gets 100,000 views, I would rather get 10,000 views on a 2-hour video that's getting 35 minutes worth of watch time, because that's gonna make, you know, that thing's gonna make way more. It's gonna make whatever, $150 or something like that, as opposed to your 100,000 viewed video is going to end up making $30. You see what I'm saying? Because the watch time's not there. So it's the watch time. So that's why whenever I talk to guests, I always say, listen, you know, they're like, well, how long do these go? 15, 20 minutes? I'm like, nah, bro, listen, like I need at least an hour. Now, if I said I have to get an hour, if I don't get an hour, I'm upset. If I get an hour, I need to get an hour. Now, if I get more than an hour, if I get 2 hours, I'm thrilled. If it's more than 2 hours, I said I'm like absolutely ecstatic. So we're aiming for an hour. We're hoping for 2. And they're like, okay, cool. And of course, a lot of people say, you know, well, man, I don't think my story's going to take an hour. I'm like, oh, it will, because they're thinking, well, you know, I robbed the bank. No, we're starting at the beginning.
Right.
Where were you born? You know, what were your parents like? how did this even come about? Are you a
You can
drug
burn
addict?
45 minutes just to get to the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it'll be 15 minutes before you're even, you're in high school, before you're doing drugs or you're whatever, you're breaking the law or whatever's happening. But we're probably 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes before we even talking about the first crime or two. And then if they have a long criminal history, it's a 2-hour podcast.
When I done your show, I wasn't sure like how long you were shooting to go, and I didn't ask because I usually told my guests like, I don't like keeping people longer than an hour because I know people have stuff they want to do.
Right.
But you care about people.
But I'm not just gonna cut you off. Like if we're in the middle of a good story and you're rapping something, I'm not gonna be like, all right, time's up. Come back next week. I'm gonna let you finish, but I don't like to go too much longer than that. I would love to if they wanted to.
Right.
Like Tommy Chong was like a perfect example, especially I know he's a busy guy. So he was at like an hour and 15, 20, and I'm trying to close it up. And he just kept going and kept talking. I'm just like, well, I'm going to ride it. If he's going, I'm going.
Yeah.
And, he kept going. So some people I think they try to keep it around an hour. Me personally, like if I'm doing only, I think when I went on Atwood, that was the longest one I ever done. We went 3 hours.
Nice.
Jesus.
And he didn't even speak for the first 2 hours.
Look, when Wade sat down and started telling, he told me like, this is the first time I'm really telling the story. And I was like, okay, well, let's kind of start at the beginning. He was like, yeah, I feel like I've been, I've done the interview. I feel like I got it laid out. I feel like I got it, bro. It's fucking beautiful. Like he just went and went and went. And I was like, he's slowly, methodically, laying out what is essentially, one issue, one thing that happened, right? Like we're talking about that one night. And yet he went from childhood through, his parents, through dating his wife, and it was perfect. But it's got like on my channel, it's got like 90,000 views. That's a lot for my channel. That's a great video. It was great too. It was great. And then what is and you've got what, a couple 100,000 on Danny?
It's a little over 200,000 on Danny's, like 201 or 202. Yeah, I remember after you dropped it, you would send me like, I mean, I would look at it too, periodically, but he would just be like 15,000. The next 2 days later, 20,000. A couple days later, 30,000. He's like, this thing's got legs, bro. And it was just going and going and going. Some dude out there, that was like the funniest comment. There were some good comments, but one of the funniest one, it says, this guy's beard along with Matt's hair is the most unstoppable combination ever.
Jess and I talk about this all the time. We're like, we should spend like a day and go through all the comments and just get the hilarious with. Right. These guys are so sharp and they're so funny. They've got comments, and I don't mean ones that, listen, these guys call me like T-Rex arms. They say stuff like if Matt works out anymore, he's gonna have to start shopping in the adult section. Yeah. Look, Matt's got a new Baby Gap shirt. I mean, just they're luckily I have, you can't really hurt me, but what's going on? But yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Wade, you got to go on some. I mean, Brett, I'm sorry, Brett, you got to go on some more channels.
I do. I absolutely
you got to start funneling more people to your channel.
Yeah, that's like the biggest way to ever. I noticed huge influxes when I went on Matt's and Danny's.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's just what it takes. And there's nothing wrong. Like to me, if somebody went on my channel and they mention their channel or they mention, like a lot of people will. They it's like they don't want to mention it. Like maybe towards the end, they'll say, hey, if maybe at some point you could, bro, there's nothing wrong with saying, throwing it in there and every once in a while, like, hey, man, like, oh, man, listen, I interviewed this guy on my channel the other day, like in the middle, just keep throwing him in there. Like, what do I care? Like you want to funnel and tell these guys, like, put my thing in the description box.
Yeah, I'm not good about saying that. For some reason, I'm not good about doing that.
Do you tell people to subscribe?
I literally just started that on my own show. You know,
What are you doing?
subscribe if you like it. Subscribe if you don't. Bitch to
Oh
me in the
my God.
comment section. I'll even respond to you.
Yeah. You know, I wish I could remember to do it at the beginning.
Right.
You know who's amazing at that is what's his name? Oh God, Graham Stephan. Graham Stephan has like a real estate finance show.
Oh, okay.
He hits it at the beginning, in the middle, throughout the whole thing. He does it over and over again. And I get so caught up with these with the interview and what's happening that I forget it. I have it great at the end, but let's face it, nobody's watching the end.
Right.
You know, who makes it all the way to the end? Anybody who makes it all the way to the end has already subscribed.
Yeah.
You're right.
You know,
Yeah, I agree with that.
Colby does that little thing, the little, YouTube thing that shoots out and says subscribe, but I don't ever say it.
Right.
So I need to start saying it at the beginning.
Well, that's the cool thing about mine. And Brett, you're probably you can enter. I don't know when you started your podcast, but like mine, I started the show in the middle of my ordeal. It was kind of like my coping mechanism.
Dude. Yeah.
So I'm able to interject that as the story progresses because that's when it started. Like, it was in the middle of COVID, but nobody was doing anything. And that's when I started getting the idea, well, I might try my hand at this. So it's kind of part of the story, because that was a therapy, I guess, in a way. Even though I wasn't talking about my stuff, I was talking to other people, because I was a very outgoing person. So to be confined home, for a while was not easy. So that was a good outlet.
Right.
Well, so, I mean, Brett, are you gonna start interviewing people like once? What are you gonna try and start doing it?
I tell you what, I'm going to take the advice. So I'll still keep Tuesday at 8 a.m. Then I'll do a Sunday release as well. Or should I not do that close?
No, I think as long as you're listen, it's just consistency,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do that. I'm actually I'm one of those guys that pays one of those Indians, who are fine people, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
I hear you. I just had 30 of these shorts delivered to me.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm fine with those. They look like they're good quality and everything. So that was the idea, is to start with the shorts as well. But I absolutely agree with you. Monetize immediately, and then start putting out multiple shows a week. I can do the 2 interviews a week, and then now do I need, because I like to do my solo stuff too. I like to complain about fraud and security and walk people through things. Do I need to do the solo every single week, or can I alternate on that?
I don't think so. I think it's all kind of under the same kind of umbrella,
Right.
It's not like you're completely doing something completely different. Like to me, the crime and entertainment thing, like I always felt like when you did the crime and entertainment, Wade, it was like you were doing crime and you were doing entertainment related to crime. But, I didn't realize till you were talking about it over the weekend and today that you were doing like, football picks.
Mm-hmm.
So but if it's consistent, then it's consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the algorithm builds up that kind of chart where it says, look, these are the types of people that are following his, and they're consistently following him. So it knows who to pitch advertisement to and who to recommend advertise on your channel. And that's what it's trying to figure out.
So like one week it would be, somebody like Tim McBride, who was a drug smuggler. Right. The next week it may be, a guy that was in the mob. The following week it may be an ATF guy that went undercover in the Hells Angels. Then it might be an actor. Now, this actor more than likely probably played a mob guy or something along those lines.
Right.
And it would just kind of bounce. And then I've gotten to the point now where I try not to put out like the exact same thing back to back. So I'll do, maybe somebody from law enforcement, then a mob guy, then a movie star, then a porn star, whatever, and just kind of mix them all in there. Then we've had some comedians on, we've had some wrestlers on. So it kind of encompasses everything. We've had writers on too, people that's written about crime.
Right.
So it's always related to, one or the other. And Brett, I'll say this, that would work out great for you, because if you're doing solo shows, you wouldn't have to worry about having an interview every single week, because you could always just fill in you talking about, one thing or another.
Sure.
I don't do solo shows. I don't feel like I'm that interesting for someone to do a solo or just tune in to listen to me.
Well, Matt and I, we're narcissistic. Yeah.
So. But I agree with you, Wade. I've spoken with you. You're on point with that. Yeah. So he just. So anyway, I was gonna say, you know who does really well with, so you know, the true crime writers that you were talking. So when I do true crime writers and when I do some law enforcement, there's different ones. They don't listen. They with my guys, they just don't resonate. Like they'll get like some and listen. I had oh shoot, the guy from the detective with that the detective that was on the Night Stalker case.
Okay.
I think his name is, I want to say is Glenn Gilchrist.
Gil, so I seen that the other day. I
Right.
watched that Netflix show.
It,
You had
it
him?
got like, listen, he was great, and he
Yeah.
was great, and he was amazing, and I was like, I was just thrilled that he was, you know, when I was even interviewing him, he was so cool. But the truth is, it got like 5 or 6,000 views, and he did a great job, and it was a good interview, and nobody watched it. And then I've done some where I've interviewed like true crime writers, and you know, true crime writer, he's going to tell the story. He knows what he's doing. He
Right.
went for an hour and 45 minutes or something like that, hour and 30 minutes, and did an amazing job. Nobody watched it. And yet if I'll get some guy who's a career drug addict who has nothing but knucklehead stories of being chased by the cops, getting picked up, getting, you know, just running through the woods, getting lost. I mean, ridiculous just stories. 35,000 views, and you're like, and with like 40 minutes of watch time on a 2-hour video, which is insane.
Right.
And yet, so I what I know is that I need to stick more with just criminals telling their stories. And I plan on kind of like, because I have stuff that's in the pipeline, but I really need to stick with that. And I'll tell you something that really guys love, because apparently there's not a lot of it, and every time I do one of these guys, they get a lot of views, is cyber criminals. Like these guys,
They do like the cyber criminals.
They like, I've only done a few of them, and all of those videos have gotten, and they could be StreamYard. Like the guy didn't have to show up. It could be a StreamYard. It gets 180,000 views.
Right.
You know, 90,000 views.
Yeah, you done well with Colby, I think.
Yeah, Colby's got, I don't know if he's at 200,000 yet.
Nice.
But yeah, he did great. And there was another guy who was selling. I don't even know what to say.
What's going on over there, Matt?
I have like an audience, like the two people who never really want to hang out with me or spend any time. All I could hear Jess telling her daughter about, all I hear is cyber criminal, cyber this, cyber that. Oh, she's upset she didn't get to meet. Oh, and Wade. She wanted to meet Wade. Okay.
There you go.
Anyway.
No, but I agree with you, Matt, about that, because sometimes I'll do a video and I think maybe it's just because it's interesting to me and that don't necessarily relate to my subscribers.
Right.
But I'll think, man, this video was so good. I know it's going to do well. And it doesn't. Like one of them that sticks out, I interviewed, there was a docu-series on Netflix called Bad Sport. Okay. And it would highlight different, like, I don't want to say tragedies, but debacles in sports.
Right.
And one of them was the guy that was kind of the mastermind behind the Arizona State point shaving scandal from like the mid-90s. And I got the guy who had the bookie in his pocket that had Stephen Smith throw all these games. It was fantastic because Stephen was betting with the campus bookie. And Stephen at the time was like the hottest basketball player in college. And he's into the bookie for like 15, 20 grand. He can't pay it. So that guy calls up, I think his name's, forget it, Joe. His name escapes me right now, but Joe something. He's in Chicago. And he's like, hey, I got Joe Gagliano. That's his name. He's like, hey, I got a fix. And with that, they masterminded, okay, you fix, I want to say it was 2 basketball games. You don't have to lose the game. Just don't cover the spread. And it went well. They pulled it off, no problem. And then the guy had some money in his pocket. He wants to bet on himself against, I want to say it was LSU. Of course, the guy's like, I let him bet because worst case scenario, I've already made, $500,000. He only wants to bet 20 grand. If he wins, I give him 20 grand. If he loses, I know I got him on the hook for a third game.
Right.
He lost. He got a third game out of it. Now, by then, they're starting to attract attention. They're moving the Vegas lines when they play. And they can't just walk into one casino and bet a huge amount of money. He's telling the story to where they have to go to Vegas, 2 or 3 guys. His dad was like a bunch of people. They all got to go to 15 different casinos and bet 10, 15 grand a piece so it doesn't attract all this action going on the one guy or one team. And the first 2 games were perfect because it was around the Super Bowl. All the big money was on the Super Bowl. Nobody was paying attention. The other ones that started to attract a little bit more attention, and they did a 4th game. And apparently in the middle of this 4th game, they were losing. And the Secret Service like came in at halftime and was like, look, we know something's going on. We don't know the particulars, but if you don't come out and play like you're supposed to come out, there's going to be a lot of investigation going on.
Wow.
They come out and like blew the fucking doors off the team they were playing. Everybody lost money. So he lost 75% of what he had won, over the course of the other 3 games. And then eventually, like, I won't even say it might've been a year later. It wasn't like immediately. All of them did wind up getting busted. One of the guys that was on the team, it was either on the team, he was involved in it somehow. He gave up Steven, and then that all led back to everybody else. But that guy, that cost him his going pro.
Wow. And no one really tuned into that?
I mean, it done good, but not what I thought it was going to do.
Okay.
It was great. It was like one of my most, like, I was glued to it. And I was happy that he come on because when I see stuff like that on TV and those stories interest me, that's when I kind of become like a little mini PI. I'll go try to track him down. And then I found out he actually had his own podcast, but it's not anything related to what we do. He wrote a book and it was called No Gray Areas.
Okay.
And that's his podcast name is No Gray Areas. So I was able to track him down and he agreed to do it. And then in turn, he was like asking me like, how are you growing your audience? What are you? So I was able to I was like, I'm not the best person to ask, but I kind of told him what I told you. I was like, I just promote wherever the particular interview fits. So like mob guys and mob groups, Sopranos and Sopranos groups. I had a guy that was on the Friends TV show, put that in the Friends groups. A lady from Sons of Anarchy, put that in all the Sons of Anarchy, because those groups have 300,000 people in them.
Right.
So that's a lot of eyeballs that, one little short might not reach.
Right.
But he come on and told a fantastic story. And to me, it was great. I guess to other people maybe didn't find it that interesting. I don't know. But like he said, sometimes you just have one. My porn stars got the highest views out of everybody, like almost 50-something thousand views.
I'll interview like a producer or something, and I have tons of questions for the guy, and I find him fascinating. I'm super interested in how that world works, and 8,000 views.
Right.
So I hear you. So I'm saying, and so for me, because I need this to do well, and I want to make this, how I make my living. I'm obviously want to do, keynote speaking. If I could just do this and keynote speaking, fucking thrilled, bro.
Right.
So, and right now I'm right there. It's just happening. I just need to keep it happening.
So, so is the key to this? And you said it, the Tire King people, is it appealing to that everyman that's out there? And and so therefore
for me,
right. But even what Wade's talking about, so you talk about point shaving. But that's not really something that a lot of people can identify with. So is it getting guests in like that?
I think it's okay. Yeah, like Wade just said, it didn't do great. Like, what's working? like, you got to focus on, in my opinion,
right?
If you're saying, hey, this is what I want to pay all my bills in a year or two, which is the nice thing. That's the nice thing about doing this is like, one, it's a hobby that eventually becomes your full-time, could become your full-time gig.
Right.
So for me, I have to kind of stop interviewing true crime writers. I need to stop interviewing, producers, those types of people, and slowly start focusing on people that are, former criminals and tell their stories and and then maybe slowly even start weeding out law enforcement that I'm speaking with, even though some of my law enforcement ones actually do pretty well. But it depends on the type of law enforcement person. I had a guy come in person the other day. He worked like 20 years on in the auto theft, and he was great. He was great. He had nothing but one crime or one auto theft story, auto theft ring, auto theft this, all that, just one after another. And he came here. He drove here. He actually gave me someone else that I'm supposed to also interview. That was one that got at the last minute it needs to be rescheduled.
That's the underwater recovery people or
Yes.
whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, I got them on the line too.
Nice.
Yeah. The guy does it for the police. He's found, like, I don't know, it was 5 or 10 cars for the police, like bodies in the cars. Like he does, what do they call it? Magnet fishing. Also.
Free. He does it for free. Yeah, he doesn't even charge. I asked him, I was like, so is this something you just kind of started and it became your full-time job? He's like, no, we do it for free. I'm like,
I don't understand. What are you saying?
I don't know.
I don't know
if I was kind of like, I don't really know if I'm diving down there and doing that for free, but it's not even like you started as a hobby, like you're just snorkeling and you found a Buick in the bottom of the ravine.
Well, Vic said he's got great stories. He's got some great stuff. And so, yeah. But I mean, that's what I think I need to do, because I need to, it can't all be just because I'm super excited about this. Because if people that are paying your bills are saying, hey, that's not something I'm necessarily interested in, then I to a degree, I need to cater to those people.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're asking me to it's not like I'm having to interview somebody I don't want to interview. I just need to focus on what the masses are want me to do.
So I mean, and I've seen some of your recent interviews. I mean, the aliens. So is it just keeping in touch with whatever's trending at that point in time? You bring somebody in to talk about ET?
You know what happened with the ET thing? So I was locked up with a guy named Chris Marrero.
Okay.
And Chris Marrero believes in pretty much every wacky conspiracy theory out there. And the great thing about Chris is that he's not a jerk about it. It's not like if you disagree or you even make fun of him, he'll get upset about you. Like some of these guys are so serious, they'll get pissed. Like, and where Chris giggles and laughs, and he knows that, people think he's a little kooky and that I think he's kooky. And so I contacted him and said, hey, let's do something on sovereign citizens, because he's a sovereign citizen. And so it started with sovereign citizens, and it kind of moved into aliens. And then we did another one, and the sovereign citizen thing didn't do very well. But the aliens did, and you can look and see, hey, people watch this alien part.
Right.
Like, that's nuts. So, and then of course I had to apologize to him, like, because I mocked him constantly about the alien stuff in prison. And then I get out and you've got the Navy showing like, oh yeah, we've been seeing these things forever. This is insanity. We got these things over here. We got tapes, videos. And I was like, oh man. So I'm on the video going, look, I want to tell you, I'm sorry about that. He's like, yeah, I told you. So then we did one on aliens, which did really well. I mean, for, Chris is Chris is, he the whole time he's like, so I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, Chris, can you move back? What? I'm looking for and I'm like, oh, it was just horrible. But I'm laughing and the whole time and mocking him, joking. He's like, what? Oh yeah, that's funny. Okay. So anyway, and it did great. It got like 50, 60,000 views. And then I did another one, and it got with him, and it got like 75,000 views.
Okay.
He's lovable. He's just a big, lovable teddy bear. Did I do another one that I don't know? I think I need to do another. I think I've done 3 total with him. Anyway, so then when I did that, Tyler got me another guy that I really honestly wasn't that interested in doing. And I did his, and it got like 80,000 views. And then some other guy reached out to me and said, hey, I've reviewed this alien video, and I've done this and this and this. And I thought, okay, I'll do this guy. So, but he was very adamant about it. Like, people don't realize, like, I get inundated with emails and text messages and, whatever, DMs, and I can't keep up with them. So the guy that sends me one and says, hey, yeah, hit me up, you're probably not going to, no matter how amazing the story is, you're probably not going to get a follow-up. But the guys that are constantly like hammering me 2 or 3 times, hey bro, what's up? Hey man, I don't know if you missed my email. Hey man, it really think you should do that. Guy's getting on.
Okay.
So that's what this guy was. And I put him on, and I think it's got like over 200,000 views. And it's this grainy video that he's talking about they call it an alien interview, and it's 10 or 15 years old, and man, it was a long video. It did amazing. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I don't think it looks real at all. I think it looks like puppets, but he's got a whole theory. And he did well, and it was great. So yes, okay, it's not like crime and aliens. Okay, I did a couple alien videos.
Crime and aliens coming soon.
Aliens.
Before long, you're going to be the new coast to coast that's out there. You keep going like that.
Man, and the problem is I don't believe really. Well, that is the problem. I don't really believe in conspiracy theories, and yet I keep being proven wrong.
That's true.
Well, that makes for the better episode. Do you do any research at all on guests before they come on?
No.
Yeah,
he was shaking his head like, no, not.
I talked to him briefly on the phone. I don't want to hear anything from him. The only thing I want to know is if they can talk.
Yeah. This is your opinion. To me, this is their opinion.
Right.
I'm always shocked. Guys will show up with they'll show up with all documents and showing me pictures and did you read my indictment? No. Did you read? I sent you those 2 articles. I think I highlighted one and listened to about and had like Siri read it to me. But then there was an ad or something, and somebody called, and I got busy. But yeah, I know you. I'm sure you're good.
I got distracted by that porn star that Wade was talking to.
Yeah. Periodically, I will read like an article or 2, or if it's a really interesting case, like Colby, which is the Brett doesn't know this, is this guy that was selling he was selling drugs over the, I'll just say that, over the internet or dark web or whatever it was, and he's got an over 200,000 views. And nice. I did look at his stuff. Like, he sent me his, I don't know what he was sent me. He sent me his pre-sentence report. Like, it's got his social security number on everything. And he's going to be gone for 5 years.
He obviously didn't research you very much.
Exactly.
What were you thinking?
Wrong guy.
So, so
like, you've been busy while you've been locked up.
I mean, people seem to realize that pre-sentence report, it's got like your mother's maiden name, it's got your date of birth, it's got your social security number. Like, very trusting.
Very
trusting.
We know who he didn't research for sure before he sent you all that info.
But
see, I used to do that heavy in the beginning, though. I would research probably way in it. It sounded very scripted. It was scripted. I had certain questions I wanted to hit.
Right.
And then I had one set up, and I interviewed a guy who was on The Sopranos, but he was an actor. He's been in a bunch of other stuff. And like, I asked like the first couple questions, and then I just never went back to it. And we had like a general conversation. And that was when it finally clicked of like, okay, it's better like this. Let them dictate it and then just flow with it. The only problem is every now and again, sometimes you get a guest that don't understand what you're doing. And so when you ask a question, okay, well, what all did that entail? We just did this. I need a little bit more than that. You got to give me a little bit more. You know, they're very short with the answers.
Oh,
so in those cases, it can be hard.
I get that all the time. The guys who, and I went in the bank and, yada, yada, yada. And I came out with the money. Whoa, what do you mean yada, yada? Well, what happened? What's yada, yada, yada?
Yeah.
We do what we do. And I came out. No. What did we do? What did we do? What did we do? I got the money. You know what I'm saying? No, you're going to need, and then they'll start to go, oh, okay. So I pulled the AK-47. I'm like, now we're talking. Fired a couple of rounds. Everybody dropped to the ground. I jumped over the counter. People were screaming, and I'm like, okay, now you see what I'm saying. All right.
Yeah.
Then they go through it.
Right.
Yeah, because these guys don't want to hear. They can get that from a newspaper article. He robbed the bank.
Do you get most of your people now, Matt, to just reach out to you through email? Like, you're not to the point to where you really go searching for people now, right?
I don't have time to search for people. So what happens a lot of times is that people guys will contact me and say, hey, you got to talk to so-and-so. It's like, what do you mean? Look, if you want him to be on my show and you really kind of like try, and I get it, they're trying to be supportive. Like they're not saying, hey, they're not being jerks. Like they're saying, hey, I think this guy would make a great interview. And they're trying to be supportive. Well, then reach out to that guy for me. Like try and do some of the legwork. Like this is difficult. And so for instance, I had a guy the other day who said, hey, he sent me a video and said, you should interview this guy. And I said, yeah, bro, that'd be great. Do you know how I can get in contact with him? I said, I don't have time to chase him down right now. And he came back. He said, yeah, here's the email for the guy. Here's this, here's that. So I sent someone else an interview because he didn't have the guy's direct information. Sent this guy and another YouTuber an email saying, hey, you had this guy on this episode. I'd love to talk to him. And then listen, but probably 2 or 3 days later, I get a phone call from the guy, and the guy says, hey man, you reached out to this person. He gave me your information. You said you want to interview me. Yes. I interviewed that guy today.
Nice.
So that's great. It's like and some of these guys literally, they'll go back and forth with me on text and say, man, when are you available? He's available next Tuesday and next Thursday. He's got the Saturday off. If you want to do all day Saturday, I'm like, this guy's great.
Yeah.
I need help. I'm not I'm at the cusp of where you can, I'm 6 months away from being able to have somebody that can really, really track these people down. And Tyler does, my booking agent does, to a degree he does. Right. But he does it for a lot of people.
Yeah, that was like my biggest problem in the beginning was finding guests.
Right.
And then 2, not having an established channel. A lot of people, I think, were reluctant to come on because nobody wants to give up an hour of their time for someone that most people, and you guys probably know this, that decide they want to start a podcast. If they're not really invested in it, they think it's all fun and games. And then once they realize it's a little bit of work involved, they might do it for a month and then it just goes away.
Right.
So I understand people don't want to give a whole lot of time if you're really new. And that was my biggest struggle. But once I started getting, a little bit of a track record, that was like my email. Hey, I'd love to have you on. I've had this name, this name, this name, this name. And it would kind of give them, okay, well, maybe this guy's got a little legwork about him.
That's nice.
But I had to do it all myself. And people were like, how are you getting these guys? You have an agent? I'm like, well, it's a real complicated process. I open up the Instagram app and I just type up a little message and hit send. And sometimes they reply back. Sometimes they don't. You'd be surprised even how many people will actually reply to those. And I'm talking like guys that were prominent stars in TV shows. And
you've had
some stuff like that.
Some
nice.
You've had some big time, big names, people that I obviously, know. So,
most of them through Instagram, just a little chat back and forth here, there, yonder. And it don't hurt that I'm a fan of their work either. They can tell who's a fan and who's not, who don't have a clue what they've done. And I'll throw out a movie name that, the average fan might not know. Like, for instance, I had Robert Lasardo on, and he's a Mexican actor who's been in everything. He's been acting since like the early 80s with Richard Pryor. And he was in The Mule with Clint Eastwood. If you ever seen Nip Tuck, the show Nip Tuck. So he was the guy, Escobar.
Right.
There the whole time that was making the girls smuggle like the drugs inside their, and he was in there through the majority of that season. And I had him on. And I mean, it was just, he could bounce through all these movie stars that he worked with. I mean, he worked with everybody. He's got like 200 film credits. And he was in the last movie that Tupac was in. So I made a short with that because he was like, the last time that I saw Tupac, the scene, he was laying, shot dead in the movie. And he's like, 2 weeks later, I get a phone call that he was shot in real life. And he's like, that was my last image of him on set because he had to walk in there and find him. And he was like, that was my last image of him. And then 2 weeks later, he's, that happened to him in real life. Right. So, yes.
Okay. Well, do you guys want to wrap this up and maybe next time, like next month, we cover something like actually like maybe structuring interviews or talk a little bit about, not that I know all that much, but I think it's something that, we could kind of talk about how to, going about different interviews. Cause I think that's kind of interesting.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because it's because I'm realizing, it's difficult. Like I try and stick with a basic format, but people get off topic, and how do you bring them back and that sort of thing.
Yeah, sometimes you have to work on that direct, indirect approach. So what happened now again?
Right.
Kind of politely bring them back to it. And I'll take this opportunity, Brett. I'd love to have you on my show too.
Yeah, let's make that happen. I'll bring you on my show and we'll talk about something.
And that's how it's done, folks. Cross collaboration.
Yeah.
Right
That's it.
I was gonna say too, and Brett, like if you do know anybody that is in the cyber, I don't want to say crime arena, that you come across, like
Do
I
you
definitely
want cyber guys? I mean,
I do, because all those guys do really well on my channel.
Yeah, I've got Albert Gonzalez just recently got out. I know he's not doing any interviews for probably 6-8 months. But there's a couple of people I can connect you with. As far as, you might want to talk to this Ted Durbin guy if you can get the tech right with him. He lives in an RV, and he's the guy that served 32 in Angola. But he's amazing to talk to.
Angola, where's that?
That's Angola is the
Angola
Louisiana State Penitentiary.
Prison.
It is 24,000 acres large. It's entirely self-contained. So everything that you eat, wear, whatever you do in the prison is made in the prison. Yeah, it's crazy.
I hope to never find out anything about it.
Yeah. So Angola is more people will 90% of the population will die there. That's where you go to serve your life sentence, right there. It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
Matt, I'll tell you this quick story before we hop off here. My boss asked me this week, he was like, "Did you go up to CrimeCon?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "It was pretty cool." He said, Did you meet up with that Matt Cox guy?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "As a matter of fact, we did. We had dinner, and I showed him some of the pictures, and I was like, if you're a fan, bro, like, I'll get you, just write down your social security number and everything and give it to me, and I'll pass it off to him." He's like, "Oh, no, I don't think
Makes you think I don't already have it. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Right.
Well, wait, I'll shoot you an email in the morning and get on that show. I'm looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Right.
Looking forward to it too.
Matt, you're outstanding as always.
I appreciate that. So what do you guys want to do as far as uploading this? Do you guys want to upload it on your channels, on all 3 of our channels, or what do you want to do?
I mean, I'm down with that if that's okay with you two.
Yeah. So let's do this real quick. I'm gonna do a outro. Thank you. So an outro real quick. So hold on 1 second. All right. I would say, hey, you guys, I appreciate you guys. Give me a second. Colby, fix that. Hold up. Hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do me a favor, if you like the video or whatever we just did, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like the video, the bell thing, leave me a comment in the comment section, and I'm gonna leave the links, or the channel links, to the Brett Johnson show and to Crime and Entertainment, which is Wade's show. And I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. See ya. And do you guys want to do an intro and an outro?
I'll just tag mine on afterwards. I mean, unless you want me to do an intro.
Don't you do one?
I do. So what?
You're saying you'll do it later. You're saying you do it later.
If you want me to do it right now, I can do it right now.
No, I didn't even think about that, Wade. I'm sure you can do it too.
I usually have a little regular intro that I'm not even a part of. It's just an intro for the show.
That's right.
I usually just tack it on to the front and let it roll.
There you go. Yeah. So
I'm good. I'll just take this file. You send it to me.
I'll leave your stuff on at the end too, because
yeah, because that was pretty funny.
Right. All right. All right. I appreciate you guys coming on. All right.
Matt, you're outstanding. Truly. Thank you for bringing us on.
All
yes,
right.
sir. Appreciate it.
Don't go anywhere. I have to upload this.
I got you.